Ravens flock, the flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. The Ravens just finished up day 21 of training camp. There's not too many training camp practices left. The fans aren't there anymore, but there is practice today, tomorrow. They're going to be off Wednesday because they're traveling to Green Bay for joint practice with the Packers on Thursday. They're going to be off Friday, and then the final preseason game on Saturday. But we do have a lot to talk about from practice today and just a lot of other things that are going on and kind of foreshadowing that joint practice on Thursday as well. Russell Gage, Sanusi Kane, Chris Board, and Christian Matthew all returned to practice today. And then there were a lot of guys still out. So Arthur Millette obviously still out. We got Rasheen Ali, who's still dealing with that stinger, I guess. Eddie Jackson missed. Adisa Isaac missed. Josh Ross missed, Tyler Linderbaum still out, Tez Walker was out, and Mark Andrews still out. Harbaugh did comment on that and just said it's extremely minor and it's related to the car accident. But let's hop into today's practice highlights. Lamar Jackson hit Rashod Bateman on a 65-yard touchdown. And then also in red zone drills, he also hit Bateman on another one on like a 15-yard crosser. So huge day from Rashod Bateman and Lamar Jackson and their connection together. I'm sure we all love hearing Rashod Bateman's going off at practice or that he's even at practice, man. I think that that's a huge accomplishment, and you're going to get a lot of these days, and Bateman's going to make a lot of plays, not just only in practice, but throughout the regular season if he's available. There's no doubt in my mind. He's extremely talented. He just needs to continue to develop that chemistry in the offense with Lamar Jackson and just build that trust and just stay available, stay healthy, stay on the field consistently. I think Rashod's in for a big year if he can do that. So I love that he's stacking some days here in training camp. He's not missing practice anymore. And look what happened today, you know what I mean? They went off. So definitely positive news there. Lamar Jackson had a good day. He did leave practice for like 10 minutes, got his ankle taped or looked at, I guess, but he came right back. He finished practice, so no concern there at all. He spoke to the media today, said he's feeling great, better than ever after losing all that weight, and says that the main difference is really he's just not as fatigued as he was the last few years.
Yeah, I'm not fatigued as much. If I'm running like 30 yards down the field, I can come back and just be like me, like a robot, even though I'm not a robot. So, yeah, I'm feeling good. I just feel better, a lot better.
And the only real concern with all this weight loss with Lamar is an injury, right? But, Lamar has done better than most people can at avoiding contact. I don't think that he puts himself in harm's way very often. Now, in the pocket, obviously, that's a little bit uncontrollable, and that is due to the offensive line. That's just due to freak situations, but Lamar also in the pocket does some miraculous things and gets out of a lot of pressure. So, Lamar's doing everything he can to not take big hits and doesn't take big hits often. He takes a lot less hard hits, especially when he's running now, than he did when he first came in the league. He was still avoiding contact well then, but I think he was a little bit more aggressive. He kind of could seek some contact here and there, but I don't think that that's the case anymore. I think he's definitely trying to avoid all the hits. I think he's definitely trying to stay available and run away from the hits. His theory this year is they can't hit me if I don't get caught. So he's faster, he's less fatigued, and I'm expecting big things as usual from Lamar Jackson this season. John Harbaugh spoke to the media today after practice as well and said they are very close on making a final offensive line decision. Obviously, because next week the roster has to be in, so I think that makes sense. I think that's a fair statement. But he said that they do, in their minds, already kind of have the depth chart, how they think it'll play out, but they just don't want to announce it. And they still need to see some more work, I guess, to make those final decisions, which makes sense. I think the offensive line has the biggest battle, left in camp, or at least the most holes or most unknown. It's the weirdest position group left here. I think the rest of the roster is pretty filled out. There's not too many bubble spots that people are fighting for like in past years. I feel like a lot of years there's usually a lot of drama. There's like 5 to 10 names of people that really could make the team that might surprise you, and I just don't think that there's as much this year. It's pretty set in stone. But that offensive line is still a little bit in fluctuation. We have been getting a little bit more clarity week after week, though. I mean, it really is just that right side that's open. Is it going to be Falele or Ben Cleveland at right guard? And is it going to be Rosengarten or McCary at right tackle? Probably Rosengarten, I would have to say. I think right guard is flip of a coin at the moment. Maybe Ben Cleveland is better fit, I think. I think if I had to just throw an opinion out there, I could say Ben Cleveland at right guard, but we haven't seen as much Ben Cleveland at right guard as we have Falele, so there's more tape recently on Falele at right guard. So I'm just really interested to see how that plays out. After having a few days removed from the preseason game, the line isn't in shambles. I don't want to paint that picture. I don't think that that's the case at all. I think last video I titled that segment, and kind of my rant that I went on was saying that we're just a bit average and inconsistent right now. And I still stand on that. I don't think that this is some insane offensive line rebuild and we're just super stacked right now. We're super young. So I think the confidence that I'm lacking in the offensive line is due to the age. It's due to the unknowns. It's due to the inconsistency, which comes with lack of experience. It's just risky to go this young, this unknown into the regular season with this offensive line. I mean, Lamar said it himself in the press conference today that this is the youngest offensive line that he's ever played with. So, I mean, that's telling you something right there. And that's not necessarily a negative for the future. I think that you can mold these guys the way you want and really build a powerhouse offensive line as time goes on. But man, is it risky for a little bit if it's inconsistent or it's not working well throughout this regular season, because that almost ensures an inconsistent slow start for our offense. That's the only problem I have. If you individually look at each guy and their tape, they're doing a lot of good things. You know what I mean? Voorhees has a lot of great moments. I think Cleveland has a lot of potential at right guard. I think Falele has some good moments. Roger Rosengarten has some great moments. They also have a lot of inconsistent moments and flaws that sneak in throughout the game as well. Not that veterans don't, but I would just feel a little bit more comfortable if we would have just re-signed Zeitler for $6 million that the Lions gave him and that he was our right guard. And then the only new guys might be Rosengarten at right tackle, Voorhees at left guard. Something like that I think is a bit more of a stable situation, like going with 3 young new players on the offensive line is just scary. And I think that's where my lack of confidence is coming from. And I don't want to paint the picture that we're having some awful offensive line, because I don't think that's the case. I'm just worried that they're going to have to go through some growing pains and we just really can't afford it, especially to start the season. We kind of got a stacked schedule to start the season. I mean, 3 out of those 4 games are not easy. The Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Bills. I think that we don't really have a lot of room to be flopping and having a lot of offensive drag. And maybe that won't happen at all. Maybe when Lamar and Henry get out there, it's defenses are extremely distracted and are overthinking their assignments. And then the little bit of inconsistency that the line's showing in certain moments isn't as zoomed in on and it isn't as big of a deal, and we're also watching right now, we're looking at their every snap because the offensive line is in such fluctuation. We're like really zoomed in on every little detail. So when someone makes a mistake, it's like, oh man, like, is he ready for the job? And it sometimes is a little unfair. I'm just on here venting my genuine thoughts and perspective on the situation. I do have confidence as time goes on that the coaches will make the right decisions with these guys and that EDC will make sure that the right talent is in place and that our offensive line will be good enough. It's just a little scary right now. That's how I'm feeling. Jumping back to practice, Odafe Oweh had 3 sacks today. Dominant performance. That was on Roger Rosengarten, so you could look at that one way or the other. But regardless, Oweh stacking days in camp. And I can't wait to see his leap this season because we haven't seen him in the preseason, obviously. We saw David Ojabo. I thought that he looked great for his first game back. So I'm excited to see what Odafe Oweh is bringing to the table this year. We've heard, at least half, if not more, of these training camp practices, Odafe Oweh is dominating and is ridiculously hard to block. So I think it's a big year for Odafe. He's got a lot on the line. He's our premier pass rusher now, and I'm excited to see what he's got, man. I'm hyped for Oweh. Pepe Williams got an interception on Lamar Jackson today. Nate Wiggins also got an interception on Leary, so that's good to see. I think that Pepe could be on the bubble with that cornerback room. I'm just going to say a way too early prediction. I will do a video giving my roster predictions, but I think Pepe does make the team as we stand right now. I do think that he sneaks on, but he's definitely on the bubble. There's no doubt about it. But he's done a lot of stuff, in my opinion, throughout the preseason and just through camp to kind of just cement like, hey, I can make plays. I can be a valuable depth piece here, whether that's on special teams, returning or just playing defense. I think Pepe does bring something to the table, and he's a fun guy in the locker room too. Everybody likes him, so I do think he's going to make the team. He did have an interception on Lamar Jackson today, so that was cool to see. Shout out Pepe Williams, man. We're rooting for you. And then we got joint practice with the Packers on Thursday. Now, this is interesting to me because this is really the first time that Lamar and Henry and Andrews and this starting offense and starting defense, for the most part, is going to go against other competition. The season's in a week or two, and we're not playing a lot of key guys throughout the preseason. So this late into the offseason, getting some reps against another team, I think Thursday's a big practice to kind of hone in on and see who's shining and who's doing well out there. And regardless of how the players perform individually on that day, I just think it's good work. It's great reps for this offense and defense because they're not playing in the preseason, and you need to see other players. You can't just go against your own teammates because you start to learn their tactics, and it's just not the same exact scenario. You're not quite as competitive. You could say you are, but it is what it is. When you're playing against another team, the competitiveness ramps up. So I'm excited to see that joint practice. I think it'll be great for the team. It'll help us prepare just a little bit more for the Chiefs in a few weeks because they've been playing their starters in the preseason. So this is our little bit of a window to kind of see how this offense looks all together on that joint practice day on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that. But that's it for today, guys. I appreciate you, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.